Congratulations.
The following segments are a presentation of Smacking Off the podcast.
以下片段是 Smacking Off 播客的演示。
And now, Smacking Off the podcast.
The fucking dynasty is dead. It is officially died tonight. Nick Saban is no longer the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Goodness.
And you know, we were planning on doing a midweek podcast anyways, but we now had to scramble together, assemble some of the finest minds to be able to dissect exactly what just happened today and where Alabama goes from here, which I think you know, I hate to say it, Saban has accomplished so much and given the state of Alabama and the Alabama Crimson Tide fan base so much, just a cornucopia of success, so much so that some of us old heads remember back when the Bear finally drifted off into the sunset.
Hell yeah. Do you think he'll be equal to Bear in people's minds?
I think he's already ahead of him.
He has surpassed the Bear. I don't think there's any debate, because, you know, and again, Saban went out on top. You know, he didn't win the Natty this year, but he made the playoffs. One of 4 teams out of 130 some odd teams in the nation to make the playoffs. That's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, that's great.
For a send off for his last season to be a runner up in the national championship. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that in a heartbeat. Because trust me, Bear Bryant did not end in the same fashion as we all remember.
Won the Liberty Bowl.
Well, at least he won the bowl. We can give him that.
He
Saban didn't win his bowl. You'll hear some of the haters say that tomorrow.
No, I agree with you, but I certainly don't have the credence to obviously say what you and you, Shannon and Doug, as you guys are obviously diehard Alabama fans. But I agree with you as a competitor from a different program. Nick Saban is the GOAT. He's the new standard of excellence in college football. And he's a standard of excellence that I don't think we will see unless we live to be 100 or 120, and I wouldn't bet on that for myself. But and neither would the actuaries. But Saban set the new standard of excellence. And
I really honestly believe in our lifetime that we will not see another that will equal or rival his success, which is heartbreaking as an Alabama fan, because that's what we're faced with our next coach or 4.
Sure, but I don't know if this is the time to do that. I think tonight is a night to celebrate everything that Coach Saban gave the Alabama program and his entire career.
Yes, John, that's for other shows. That's not what we do here. You know better than that. We're here to talk about
celebrate Coach Saban.
We're already itching to get into the drama, because there is no drama here. Nick, and to be clear, Nick is retiring because his wife, Miss Carrie, who is his absolute that's his ride or die homie, and has we should all be so lucky to have that kind of relationship that the two of those have had for the decades and decades they've been married now. What are those, 50-some years now?
50 years. I think they were high school sweethearts in West Virginia as well.
Wow, that's
she cheered at his high school football games where he was the quarterback. It's funny. It was weird. It's, you know, you get these weird vibes to watch something or read something. And the other night, you know, it's been a week since I went to the Rose Bowl, and, you know, I had a great time. And Monday night, after the championship game, you know, I was obviously feeling down because of that result. So I happened to just rewatch the NFL Network's Nick Saban, A Football Life, and talk about weird timing. I just, for whatever reason, I clicked on the link on YouTube and rewatched it. It had been a couple of years. I think they did it in 19 or 20. And just from the day he started playing football in Pop Warner till now, the day he retired, I think you just the standard of excellence and the work ethic. I mean, the man lived, breathed, ate football 24/7, 365.
And again, that kind of puts an exclamation point to the fact that Miss Terry, because I didn't complete my thought there for a moment, but Miss Terry has been diagnosed with the early stages of dementia.
Oh my God!
So yeah, that is for more, in this day and age of the Urban Myers, pretend heart problems, and just can't quite face the situation for whatever reason, or ducks out and heads to another team for whatever reason. I mean, and look, Nick is definitely famously, if you're an LSU fan, or if you're a Dolphins fan, has famously cut out on both of those programs at different points of time in his career. I mean, the man wasn't a complete angel.
You can't be mad if you're an LSU fan. He brought you a national title, which you hadn't had in, I think it was 45 years.
Yeah.
So if you're an LSU,
left the team in good enough shape for Les Miles to have some success there for a while. Right. Of course, history will not be so kind to Les Miles.
No. But I mean, if you're
Sandusky at the moment,
you can't be mad as an LSU fan at Nick Saban. He brought you a national title when for decades you were,
and then left your ass for the Dolphins. Fuck you.
Well, I think Nick wanted to chase, he
wanted to get out of that nasty smelling swamp area. That's what he wanted to do. The co-eds there, I mean, we've seen Shannon Russell. The co-eds there are about hard 6 at best.
I think it was, and I think he chose the Dolphins for a particular reason. As an NFL
well,
fan,
again, he had achieved that success. He had finally got the ring in college football. Let's see if we can take that over to the NFL and see if I can get some of that big NFL money. Who would say no to that kind of money?
Well, certainly, and also he chose the Dolphins. He's playing in the same division, the AFC East, as one of his dearest friends, his closest friends. He's been friends with Bill Belichick for, I think, 35 going on 40 years now. Mm-hmm. They're very tight, and he wanted to compete against the best. And I think him taking a challenge like that, it's unfortunate that, and it's fortunate for Bama, but unfortunate for his NFL career that they were looking for a quarterback. He wanted Drew Brees. Drew Brees' wife fell in love with, I hate to say it, New Orleans, Louisiana, because of the rebuild from Katrina, and Brees ended up choosing the Saints during his free agency period. But if Brees chooses Miami with Coach Saban there, who had already got the defense, playing at an excellent level, Coach Saban would have had tremendous success in the NFL. There's no doubt, But to what you started with, Shannon, he always, deferred to Ms. Terry, and Ms. Terry didn't really enjoy the NFL life per se. She preferred college football. So when the opportunity came and Mal Moore was recruiting Coach Saban very heavily to leave Miami, it was a perfect fit. And we saw that with just 17 seasons at Alabama, 6 national championships, 4 Heisman Trophy winners, 11 SEC championships, I think it was, or 10. The numbers are they're just mind-boggling of the success. But that's because of the hard work that he put in and expected of himself on a daily basis.
The process, that's what he calls that.
Yeah, his process, the man was up at 5 every day trying to make the program better. We're never going to see it again in our life. So it's a sad day for college football. It's especially sad, I know, for you guys that are Alabama fans. But I think we need to just look at, we're never going to see this again. It's sort of like the other GOATs that have been retired. Tiger's almost retired. Jordan obviously has been retired for a while. Tom Brady just retired. Belichick's, we don't know. That might be coming here shortly, but it's definitely the end of it. It's a sad day. It really is.
Well, and also too, one quick note, because it's something we were talking about in chat. One of the people that I hope was going to stay at least for another season or two to welcome the new coach was Kevin Steele, who has done a fantastic job putting Alabama's defense back to the standards that we have expected under Coach Saban.
Yeah.
Even though he is a fucking ob, he has definitely proved his worth this year, in particular, with a lot of the cleanup work that he's done with particularly penalties. The Alabama's defense has played a lot cleaner this year. Hadn't been perfect. This is Alabama defense. Come on now.
So, y'all, it has been announced.
God damn it. We couldn't get through a fucking segment without this motherfucker coming on here and swinging his little dick around, pissing on shit.
Hey, look, I'm bringing good news. I'm happy for Alabama, but here's the problem. You can't replace the GOAT with Dan Lanning because it's never a good idea.
We hadn't even got to that part in the talk yet. Again, you come in here pissing all over the fucking conversation, just like your typical Auburn fan. That's what
I'm happy, buddy.
That's the culture we expect.
Every year now.
Those trees were not worth
$750,000. Shannon.
Y'all fucked Harvey Updike. That was a fucking shakedown. Y'all's little feelings got hurt about them sad ass little trees. Harvey Updike was, and that y'all gave that man cancer.
That's why y'all are fucking.
It might have been that Roundup that gave him cancer. I don't know.
That's why y'all Alabama fans are fucking crying because the playing field.
Y'all should have never hung that jersey.
Level.
Y'all should have never hung that Cam Newton jersey on Nick Saban's statue.
It's okay at this level now, buddy. The playing field is back to even.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
I know. Don't know Alabama fan want to talk to me tonight.
Again, just like a fucking buzzard, just like a vulture that sees a dead animal, a helpless dead animal twitching in the road. That's where Alabama fans are tonight. We can't believe we got hit by a fucking car today. And here your buzzard ass comes flying up in here talking about whatever fucking bullshit comes out of your fucking goddamn mouth.
Well, here's the problem.
Hi, Kenny. How are you? How are you doing, dick sucker?
I would ask Kenny how he was doing, but obviously he's.
I don't care how Kenny's doing.
Yeah, here's the thing,
I hope
y'all.
You get in a wreck. Here's the thing.
Every Alabama fan's been sucking Nick Saban's dick for so long.
Of course we're sucking his dick. Did you hear those numbers that Sean Devine just said a moment ago? Oh, my God. Who wouldn't? I want to suck his dick right now, even on the way out. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for your service.
Hey, I'm glad. I'm happy for him. He is the greatest coach.
Nick, I didn't suck, and that was yours because we won the Iron Bowl this year, and we won it.
Almost busy.
We fucking stole it straight out of y'all cheating ass.
Hey, I'm glad you fucking won it.
We did. We got to go to the SEC championship game and win that as well. That's something else that you weren't a part of. Watch that on TV. Riding Georgia's dick.
Hey, it's okay. Kirby
no.
This is another.
Why did you let him on here, Doug? Why? This is your fault because you're the one that's able to let people on this show and not let people on this show. And you seriously, you made this decision on your own without any discussion from us whatsoever.
Because he wanted me to give you hell.
Buzzard. He's a buzzard. He's picking on the roadkill.
So Doug,
we're not even dead yet. We're still twitching in the road. Please help us. Please help us.
We know y'all
wait for one of those girls on a Prius to come by and take it to a veterinarian office. And no, here comes your buzzard ass. Ready for the deal. I hate you.
The man's not gonna coach till he dies. That was fine.
What was Hugh Freeze's record this year? By the way,
fucking ass going to the national championship is over with.
Y'all made it to a winning record this year, didn't you? Did you win your bowl? No,
barely.
Didn't win that bowl game. That was an important bowl game against Maryland.
Hey,
with a backup. No. Hold up. Didn't they go 6 and 7?
No, we went 6.
After they lost their bowl game, they were 6 and 7.
Yeah.
So you finished the season. The official record, if I look it up in the NCAA, the Auburn Tigers went 6-7. You're going to come in here swinging your dick to me right now?
Didn't Maryland beat them with like a third string quarterback?
They did.
Yes.
Have all these people in here and watching. Shannon, when Auburn wins,
I'm going to let our audience know that Kenny has his own podcast, and I'm not even going to say the name of it because I fucking hate his ass right now. Yeah.
How about that? You want to do that? You want to make that bet?
$750,000 tree podcast. That's what he's got going on.
Y'all notice? Hey, Dr. Boss, you notice he's avoiding the question. Some bitch avoiding the question.
What question, Kenny?
I want to know. Shannon want to bet. I got Auburn winning 10+ next year. If Auburn wins 10 more games,
I didn't have to suck your dick at one time, and I'm not going to try it again. You just want me to suck your dick again, and I'm not doing it.
No, I want you to drink your fucking piss live on air, and don't be a little bitch like the dude on Frenzy.
Actually, I know a guy that's done that before, and I'll get some hints from him later.
That's who he's talking about.
Justin Pike.
Yeah, that's who he's talking about.
Justin Pike is.
Oh no, he'll do it. He just hasn't found the right shade of apple juice yet.
It's not apple juice. He drank his own pee. You saw him pee in that cup, and then you saw him drink it. You're gonna say, "Why are you listening to this guy? He's a fucking Auburn fan, Doug."
It didn't show him pee in the cup. He didn't show that. He peed in
something. You can't show that because Facebook will give you the jail. The Facebook jail. Zuck. Lord Zuck, the warden.
Well, that's pretty convenient for President Pike, isn't it?
That wasn't convenient. That I would propose that's inconvenient.
I mean, wasn't that if you're really going to drink this?
Wasn't that the same argument that Andy Dufresne used in Shawshank Redemption about why they couldn't find the gun? And he said, "Well, I would find that would be actually rather inconvenient." What do you think? And they said that his icy demeanor proved that he killed his wife.
Good. That's
off that sewer pipe and stole all that money back. The end. I just spoiled that movie for anybody that's never seen it. All three of you.
So I mean, I've got from an inside source that Dan Lanning will be hired within the next 72 hours.
Inside sources is reporting from Tuscaloosa, boots on the ground, that Dan Lanning in 3 days. 3 days time, just like
okay. So, but let's hold on.
Resurrection of the Christ. It'll be the resurrection of Dan Lanning.
So let's go ahead and let's assume that Landon got bad information.
You didn't have to name him. We just said hashtag inside sources and leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If he's wrong, then I don't want to we're not trying to call our friends out here. Confidential.
Everybody knows who inside sources is, Shannon.
I don't want, but Kenny's on the broadcast. He's a snitching ass Auburn fan.
Fuck Kenny.
That's kind of where I'm at with this. Yes, I don't understand why his buzzard ass is still around here, buzzing around, fucking trying to pick the carnage.
Listen,
man, do you got your microphone up your ass or something?
Because
it sounds terrible.
That's what he's doing right now. Is talking out his ass.
Listen, on the Alabama Wire, you can go look at it. The athletic director said they will be announcing tomorrow at 12 if everything goes right tonight.
Everything goes right tonight. You talking about Dan Lanning?
Huh?
You talking about Dan Lanning or Ray Perkins?
Yeah, Alabama athletic director said that they will announce the next head coach at noon tomorrow if everything goes right tonight. They already know who it is.
It's gonna be DeMarco Ryans, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm saying Dan Lanning. It's either Dan Lanning's or the boy at Washington. One of the two. It has to be.
I want DeMarco Ryans.
I mean, so you don't think there's any chance that Kiffin gets this gig?
No, fuck no.
Why not?
Me neither. Because he don't have enough class for Alabama.
Why does he not? Why does he not have enough class? I think he has. I think he has exactly what it takes to lead a program like Alabama into where we're at, particularly on the side of social media. Look, you're talking too loud and over me.
Good.
Look at what Deion Sanders. Shut the fuck up. Look at what Deion Sanders has done at Colorado. And look, he ain't won a whole lot of games, but he won social media and then some. And actually dumped a bunch of money into Colorado's program they didn't have, which is kind of helpful because they're going to need it for some NIL money.
Anyway, So back to Lane Kiffin, smart
I'm
ass.
not done. I'm not done with my thought.
Question about Lane Kiffin. You said he's a good coach. How the fuck are you a good coach and you let Ohio State come in and tamper quotably the best running back you got and give him $1.2 million? Shut that shit up, Danny. That's you just
Anyway.
bullshit and talking out your fucking ass right
now. That's what happens when you let motherfuckers like this on the show. You knew better than this. We've had motherfuckers like this on this show before. Not really all of them are Auburn fans. Most of our Auburn fans are respectful. This is a typical Auburn fan. This is not the normal atypical Auburn fan we have.
A real Auburn fan, he's there.
Yeah, this is a fucking vulture, just like the rest of them down there.
That's okay. You can pay attention to the fucking doors. What the fuck, Shannon? I still love you, but goddamn, I think all y'all got pussy.
You're definitely not going to love me by the end of this conversation.
Real quick, he does have a right to be upset because think about this: in Nick Saban's 17 seasons at Alabama, he has tripled the national championships that Auburn's ever won in their 130 years of football.
You're
Put that math in perspective.
Yeah, it's impressive.
That's insane.
Will you freeze bring a natty to Auburn? Do you think?
Yes. Yes.
Of course, you're going to say that.
No,
I think Sean can now.
I want to get Sean's thoughts on this real quick about a replacement for Nick Saban. If this Dan Lanning thing is not where they go, I'd like to get some names. And what's your thoughts on Dan Lanning, Sean?
I like Dan Lanning. I think Dan Lanning would be a great hire for Alabama. I like the way he's an aggressive recruiter. He's done just in a short time, great things at Oregon. And before that, Oregon wasn't much. And, Chip Kelly had a couple of years there, culminating the loss to Auburn in the national championship game. But really, prior to that, Oregon, So Dan Lanning's done great things at Oregon.
I mean, you could say that he took over for a pretty good a good program that Mario Cristobal had left in good shape.
Mario left he left pieces in the cupboard, but to get those pieces to play, which Mario Cristobal never really got, and we're seeing that at Miami.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a great recruiter, but once you get the players there, you can get the Jimmies and the Joes, but if you can't coach them up with the X's and O's, well, it doesn't really matter. And Lanning was actually able to do that. So I think Lanning, meets
with Bo Nix, no less.
With Bo Nix. Yeah,
I mean, we saw what kind of trash he was in the SEC, and man, they made a fucking Heisman winner out of him, or potential Heisman.
Oh yeah, he looked
right. See that coming.
So I think Lanning's great, and we have to talk about the former elephant, no pun intended, in the room. That is, you have a Alabama alum that is a 2-time national champion head coach at another program. He's sitting out.
Okay, go ahead. Let's go in. Let him.
We do need to talk. You have to talk. Take a knife in this right now. You have to talk about that.
No, we're not going to talk about that because he's already proven over the past several seasons that he's not going to be able to survive in the future of college football.
I think if he leaves Clemson, Clemson is a different culture than Alabama. We all understand that. I think if Dabo Swinney gets to Alabama,
now wait a minute. If you talk to some Clemson fans, they'll straighten you out right quick and let them know that they are a powerhouse program, and
we all know that's not true. They're not a blue blood. I think what Dabo Swinney has done at Clemson is remarkable work, but they're still not a blue blood. No. They're just not. Alabama is. Dabo is a double.
But do you think Dabo Swinney would boomerang back around, come to Alabama, and suddenly be able to somehow find that success that he had early on at Clemson? Come on.
I actually do.
He's on the back end of things, really.
No, he's still a very young coach.
Well, I mean, he's a young coach, but I mean, as far as keeping up with the landscape, and this has been discussed.
I think with the right athletic director, there, which I think you have, I think Dabo would do just fine. I think he would be a great coach, but I would prefer Lanning, certainly. I think Lanning would be better. But you will give Dabo at least a look because he is an Alabama, not only undergraduate, I think he has a graduate degree there, and he played at Alabama. And the last coach to do that.
Okay. Good.
Well, everybody leaves at some point. I mean, think
fuck?
about this.
Why did
Bear
you
Bryant was
bring
coaching.
him on? What the fuck are you trying to do here?
Bear Bryant was coaching at Kentucky and Texas A&M before he went back to Alabama. So I think you at least kick the tires on Lane. You kick the tires on Dabo. But I think if you can get Dan Lanning, I think Dan Lanning would be the guy. And maybe you give at least an interview to Kalen DeBoer. The only question we have there is, does he culturally fit in the SEC? Because we saw, guys that have come from that area not fit in so well, looking at you, Auburn, in the SEC. But there's a lot of people that are going to want to get an invitation for at least an interview, because Coach Saban did not leave that program. The cupboard is not empty. It is very much full. The program is still the premier program in college football. So any coach.
So you're saying that Nick Saban did not do what Urban Meyer did at Florida, and he actually left Alabama in great shape and poised for another good coach to come in and have at least a similar success.
Right. I don't know if you're going to repeat the GOAT's success, but a good coach will have success at Alabama. They just
man, the guy comes in and wins 10, I'll feel okay about it.
Yeah, I think
then it wins 9, and we have a few close losses against some really good teams. I mean, come on now, I'm gonna give him some grace.
I was say next year the schedule.
We're 3 years into that though, and we haven't played our way into the SEC championship, particularly with these new teams that are coming into the SEC.
So let me go ahead and mention this. One of our listeners, John Sam, I don't know who this is, said that he's thrown up a name into this that I have not heard. He's saying that Dan Lanning and Eric Bieniemy has both been contacted. Now, I don't know anything about Eric Bieniemy, so
that's
Eric Bieniemy hasn't been a head coach in the NFL yet, and he's been, one of those hot candidates for quite some time now.
The word is that Saban wants Bieniemy.
Huh.
I don't know if
that's the word from John Sam, which I
I'd like to actually read something that says that, but because Bieniemy, I follow the NFL probably a little bit more than you and Shannon.
Right.
He's been a hot commodity coordinator for the last 8-9 years, and he still doesn't have a head coaching job. So there's something there that says, maybe this guy isn't, head coaching material. And to be fair, he's part of the Andy Reid tree. And so far, the Andy Reid tree, when his assistants have become head coaches, it's not great. Matt Nagy failed in Chicago, failed miserably. I'm missing somebody else, but if Bieniemy was the guy, they just fired their head coach in Washington. You'd think they'd elevate Bieniemy to the head coach, and that's not happening. So I'm not quite sure Bieniemy is quite the right fit. Not to say he won't be, but he can interview just like anybody else, and we'll see who the Alabama AD and presidents, the board chooses. But I'm not sure that Bieniemy is going to be the guy.
Breaking news, SM Gibson's not going to be able to join us. He's having issues getting logged into StreamYard. I guess he's having some of the similar issues we were having. I don't know. He said he tried like 20 times.
Okay, so let's take a break, and we'll be right back here in a minute.
Let's do it.
You are now watching or listening to Smacking Off the Podcast. If you love it, tell your friends about it. If you hate it, share it with your enemies.
It was just a small gift from Mummy and Daddy. One, however, that would spark a bit of an obsession. It started out innocent enough, as these things always do, but quickly lit the fuse to something bigger. Mum and Dad encouraged other activities, but alas, had to sell things almost as fast as they bought them. Friends and family thought it was cute. It's just a bit of fun, they said. It's just a phase, they said. Well, it's all fun and games until your child is 34, still lives at home, and absolutely nothing has changed. These things should really come with a warning label. Buy, sell, eBay.
Fine. Humans are noisy. They thrive on chaos. They like to make things. It gives them meaning. They do it over and over and over again until they shut down. Humans are fueled by inspiration. Inspiration and something called tacos. Change makes them nervous, but embracing it changes everything. Yeah, imagine that.
What up?
We're back.
Welcome back to Smacking Off the Podcast.
We're here. We're still mourning the loss of Nick Saban from the Alabama Crimson Tide. He has decided to step aside. One thing that occurred to me while we were talking earlier, I wonder if Nick actually went to the brass at the Alabama athletic department and kind of discussed with them what he was talking about doing, and maybe they went ahead and reached out to some coaches to
What
see.
you're saying is maybe this is already a done deal, everything.
Yeah, pretty much. And they went ahead and contacted a few coaches. Of course, I'm sure through Jimmy Sexton, Nick Saban's agent was probably able to reach out to at least half of the people on that list just through that one person. Hey, Alabama job's fixing to come available. You want to take it? Okay. All right. We'll call Dan up and see if he wants it. Or Dan was probably the first call, and Dan said, no need to call anybody else. I'll talk to him. I've been praying and hoping and wishing for that job. I go and take a shower and lather my penis up and stroke my penis thinking about getting that job.
Lanning has a history in the SEC.
No secret that Lanning wanted to get back into the SEC and even brought a scrub ass SEC quarterback and scrubbed the dirt off of him and made him a champion just to show the Southern people that, hey, I could do this down there.
I've been hearing the Dan Lanning thing really for a couple years now. As soon as
but Dan Lanning wouldn't leave Oregon, a program like Oregon, even though there's conference shakeup and all that other stuff going on. He wouldn't leave a program like Oregon unless it was a top tier SEC job. I mean, other than Alabama, what other job do you think he would leave Oregon for in the SEC? Just right out of the gate.
LSU is a good job.
Florida's
pretty good there. They like him. I think Kelly's going to be.
It's hard to fathom Kirby walking away from Georgia, but
Kirby is never, ever going to leave Georgia at this point.
Georgia's an excellent job.
I think
Tennessee is a job with potential.
Yeah, but I don't know. They've had a dark cloud in Tennessee for a while. I don't know if Dan Lanning would want to get involved with the whole trustee situation there.
I think they're cursed because of Phil Farmer's bad behavior in the past and being a rat pink bastard and shit like that is cursed.
Karma. Yeah, karma. Yeah. Bad karma has plagued the program, and I have no problem with that. None.
Ole Miss looks like a good job right now.
Ole Miss is a great job that you can win at. Lane seems to be rather comfortable there.
Since A&M has turned the coffers off, had they opened up the checkbook.
Now, let's say Lanning just for some reason or another looks around. Somebody with Oregon comes out of the woodworks. Here's some Nike money. Here's
they can do that. They can do that.
Who's their number two? Is Lane the number two in this conversation? That seems to be a lot of the chitter chatter. It's Dan Lanning and then Lane Kiffin, and then a lot of reasons and explanations why either one of them,
I'm hearing DeBoer is the number 2 at Washington, and that would
Kalen
make a lot of
DeBoer has been a
sense.
winner everywhere he's went. The only question
right.
is he a cultural fit for the SEC? I don't think he has any SEC experience, but we saw LSU. They brought Brian Kelly in. He didn't have any SEC experience prior to that either, and he did get him at least to an SEC title game once. But DeBoer, the buyout is a little more manageable.
$8 million, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, he's literally won everywhere he's been. So, and to me, he was just a little short Monday night, but it wasn't because of coaching. I think it was players didn't execute plays. Kalen DeBoer is a heck of a coach. So if it's not Lanning, if it's not Lane, I think DeBoer is probably next on the hierarchy for interviewees.
It would make a lot of sense because, like you said, he's had success everywhere, and he was able to bring Washington up from being a mid-pack, bottom first-tier team in the Pac-12 to actually competing for a title in a very short period of time.
And now, there's a little rumor about Sark, but the problem is I think Texas can meet, whatever dollar figure might be bandied about, unless he just really wants to go to Alabama, which, that's his druthers if he wants to do that.
I would think with where Sark has Texas at the moment, I think Texas already has them winning, already has good things going on there versus heading back to Tuscaloosa to maybe not, depending on the situation, depending on how things shake out, be able to have that same kind of success there for whatever reason. I mean do we go ahead and take this? Do we go ahead and take the sure thing, the curtain that's already open, or do we take what's in the box?
I mean, the other thing we're not talking about here that should be addressed is the fact that huge shoes to fill for anybody that's coming in after Coach Saban. I mean, that's a
the
tough
expectation is through the roof.
Absolutely. I mean,
more so than any other job that you can think of. Coming into it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no other job that has the expectations, the epitome of success. That's a tough ask for any coach. I mean, other than maybe, I guess you get if Belichick still wants to coach, but he's never really.
Everybody needs to quit bringing Belichick's name into this. And he's 80 some years old. I mean,
I think he's about the same age as Coach Saban. I think
whatever. That's what I'm saying. It's just
and there's Pete Carroll. He's had
quit all of that.
But I'm just I'm not suggesting. No, Shannon, I'm not suggesting. I'm just telling you who wants to risk their coaching career on trying to fill the shoes of a guy that's won 6 national championships and produced 4 Heisman Trophy winners. That's an insane ask. That's so tough. So it's that's why I think Dan Lanning is the guy.
We had the Mike years to condition us and to humble us just a little bit. Now, some of the younger of our fan base doesn't understand that, and luckily they have us old heads to quietly pull them aside.
Well, yeah, I mean,
these moments are going to happen. We're just going to have to let it go and just let this thing play itself out.
Yeah.
I mean, after the Bear, you had Perkins, and then it went with Stallings, Curry. I think, or am I missing somebody?
Bill
Curry. Yeah, Curry wasn't great, but then Stallings won a national title in '92.
He did, and unfortunately had to leave in a little bit of a dark cloud.
Yeah, but national title still remains. And then after Stallings, it was a little bit of a regression to the mean, we'll just say. But then you found Coach Saban.
Mike years. Go ahead and fucking say it. The Mike years.
Yeah, the 2 Mike years. Yeah, and then also the Shula and and let's not forget what Francione had maybe a cup of coffee. And
Francione had gave us just a slight glimmer of hope, and thank God that he left and got completely demoralized. I mean, completely demoralized by the Oklahoma Sooners. The only good thing that the Sooners have ever done for my life.
But I really think you throw all the eggs in I think Lanning's the only guy right now that could come in because he's probably the best. I guess you could say Lane, but I just don't see the Alabama fan, but you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see them embracing Lane like they would Dan Lanning.
I don't know. I like Lane, so
I do too.
but at the same time, though,
I'm biased against Lane.
Lane also understands the culture in Tuscaloosa, knows what goes on behind the scenes, and that might not be something he wants to get involved in. Again, he has autonomy where he's at now. He has the key to Cadillac and he can kick the doors open and put his feet up on the table if he wishes.
He's free to
any available co-ed provided she's
I wasn't saying that,
not
but
working for an escort service. Hugh Freeze.
No, I mean, I just think Lane, like you said, Lane has autonomy there in Oxford, and he's able to be himself. Where I think what made Coach Saban great is Coach Saban was very buttoned up, and that's kind of the way I think the Alabama alumni like it. I mean, not only did he do a great job, but he wasn't on social media doing stuff, and Lane likes to do that. That's why I think Lanning was a better choice.
Yeah, but Lane does it right, though, and I don't know why everybody throws a fit about that, because really, other than some really fucking hilarious shit, what controversial thing has Lane done online? Something
I get your point as for those that are
right. He uses it to full effect, and he keeps people talking about him and keeps talking about the program that he coaches. So I don't know, man. Everybody needs to fucking chill with that shit. He's actually doing the right thing. It's a bunch of old people making that complaint.
But Shannon, a lot of those older alumni are your big NIL donors.
They're going to be dead soon, and they need to be reminded of that. This is a brand new world. This is a brand new game. Come off the NIL money. Shut up and let Lane tweet. The fuck? Where y'all think y'all are at, man? Drake runs shit now. This is we live in Kanye's world.
Drake runs it at UK though. See, he don't run it at Alabama. He runs it at UK. He's courtside at UK.
Well, I mean, but at the same time, though, you got to have that same swagger. You got to have that same mentality. That's right. How you recruit. That's how you get kids in the portal. You have to be able to talk in their language and their terms, be doing and swimming in the circles that they swim in, communicating in the same language and in the same fashion electronically like all the other kids are.
Well, that's why
Dabo Swinney is not a good fit for Alabama. He just doesn't understand that world. That world is so far removed from him. And that's why Nick Saban had success, because even though he's not fully immersed in that world, he still understood the culture especially the culture of all of the different kids from all over the country and where they were coming from.
And that's why I think Lanning is
the block where they were coming from.
I think Lanning's your best bet, and I think he would be the best hire. And I think the benchmark, it definitely has to be a big hire. You cannot not get a big name. You can't pull a Florida on this one. You know what I mean? Agree. It has to be a top-notch, yes, this dude should be the Alabama head coach.
I mean, you got to do that just to keep the recruiting intact.
Absolutely. And you already saw that early this evening with one decommit from next year's class. I thought that was in poor taste by that recruit who will not be named. But, yeah, Doug's absolutely right. To keep this next recruiting class intact, it's got to be a big name. Has to be. Yeah. So.
And this is a big year, too, because now they're expanding the playoffs. The SEC becomes this big, massive super conference. The whole entire landscape. Now that Saban has left, the whole entire earth is going to move in college football next year. Not because Nick Saban is gone, but it's definitely going to lend to it a little bit. That's going to open the playing field up a little bit more. The guy that keeps showing up year in and year out may take a year off, may take 2 years off, but he's going to always remain in the hunt. Is suddenly out of it. And so, there's going to be some, you have some coaches in the SEC in particular that are breathing a little easier tonight.
And this new season, this year's absolutely. Tough.
I mean,
Alabama had a pretty tough recruiting class coming into it. I mean, it just year in and year out of just, holy shit, we got to keep fucking dealing with this guy. And suddenly it's over.
But the talent is Nick. Coach Saban just signed, I think, the number 1 or number 2 class. I'd have to go back and look at the different services, but it wasn't like he wasn't working his ass off this past year at recruiting. He brought in another absolutely stellar class.
So that lends me to also believe that this decision was maybe in the works a little bit, or maybe it was something he was on the fence about, and suddenly the doctors came back with some more pointed news. I don't know. I don't know all the particulars on that. I'm sure that will probably unfold as the weeks to come. So yeah, I mean, it's that's what makes it so surprising. It just signed a contract. What was that contract? Went into 2027, I believe it was the latest contract extension he signed.
Yes,
So
29, I believe.
he had plans to keep on running as long as he possibly could. So, that definitely lends credence to how serious of a situation this is for him at home and Miss Terry. And first and foremost, we just got to give massive props to Nick Saban, and particularly because the story of the way he left too is just it's so heart wrenching, because he would have kept going all the way up that way till he died. He would have been calling plays all of them until he's sitting there clutching his chest trying to get that last play out.
It totally bums me out because I firmly believed he was coaching till he was 80.
Yeah,
I did, and that bums me out because I know my Irish plays Alabama in a home and home in 5 or 6 years, and I've never got to be in a stadium with Nick Saban coaching, and it's sort of like you had a chance to see the Beatles the last time they were touring, and you didn't get to do that, and I'm heartbroken because I wanted to go see a game coach, and I did see the Rose Bowl, but I wanted to see a game coached by him in Bryant-Denny.
But look, dude, you were at the last game that Nick Saban coached.
I was. And I did not trust me.
I don't know why that just dawned on me. That is a big fucking deal, dude.
Yeah. And I have the program and a couple other souvenirs.
I just want to touch your hem.
And
transfer it to Dan Lanning. Maybe sneak up on Dan Lanning on the sidelines and just try to touch it with that same hand. I'll try not to wash it until then.
And I can tell you from the Rose Bowl, I was sitting in the Alabama section with, surrounded by Alabama fans. And I admittedly was rooting for Alabama in that game, obviously for my own, reasons. This was not even thought of a week ago Monday on the 1st. This was not.
No.
This is nothing we talk like. You were talking about next year's recruiting. You were talking about next year's schedule. You're talking about who's going to replace Kevin Steele because that news had already kind of trickled out. Who's going to replace Steele as the defensive coordinator? But none of this.
See, I totally missed that in the middle of all the other stuff going on before this was announced tonight. I completely, for some reason or another, that completely missed the news that Kevin Steele was not returning. That was my first question is, oh my God, I hope we don't lose Kevin Steele, but yeah, he's gone.
But that actually hit the news before Saban's did.
Yeah. And I know that now, but that's
and he probably knew Saban was fixing to step down too.
Yeah. And really, that's what I'm saying. There had to have been some sort of conversation because look, guys, didn't y'all think there was something about seeing Miss Terry more out in the public limelight this year more than any others. I mean, she's come to games before and been on the camera a few times, but none as much as this particular year.
And she also missed her first Alabama game this year, ever. Since Saban's been coach there.
Did not know that. Wow.
And may have been having a bad day that day.
It was October. It was early October game. I seen the news headline.
The Tennessee game.
Might have
First
been.
weekend of October.
Well, before Shannon kind of broke the news on that, to me, like on the call we're on tonight.
Yeah.
When I saw the news this afternoon, I just simply thought, one, the man is 72. He's done 50 years of football, more than 50, actually, probably 55, maybe even close to 60. And we know that, if the two things that were in my mind were simply one, if he didn't want to come to work every day, giving his, like if he was, he kind of did look a little tired this year. You say that you're 72. 72-year-old, my folks are 75. They get tired very easily, like very easily. So I'm not saying Saban is 75, he's 72, but
he's 72, 72, 75. I mean, that's old, man. It's doing a lot of living, a lot of activity. I mean, he's led a very extremely active lifestyle for forever.
And we know he's in great shape. He takes great shape. He takes great measures to take good shape, care of himself to stay in great shape. But at the same time, you think, well, he's accomplished something no one else has ever accomplished, winning 7 national championships. He's done everything you can possibly do. My thought was, isn't it? Maybe he just wants to enjoy the time with his family, and he's got more money than all of us will ever have in our life.
Money is not an issue now. He's got all those Mercedes dealerships now.
So maybe he just wants to enjoy the last 20, 25 years of his life. He's a great golfer. I heard that. Go play golf, and enjoy time with Miss Terry, with his children, with his grandchildren, and also not have to deal with, the daily grind that is being the Alabama head coach, which is not an easy grind. It's a 300.
What is he going to do? What is he going to do when he retires? He's going to be bored as shit.
He's going to go fishing down on. He's going to go fishing down on the east coast of Florida.
There's only so much fishing you can do, man. He'll do that for 2 weeks, and he'll get to start like calling people up. Just calling Hugh Freeze. Hey, Hugh, it's Nick. How you doing, man?
From what I've heard,
wanted to talk about some football. I mean, seriously, the man is an absolute, and that's one of the things that a lot of people don't know about Nick. Nick is an absolute student of the game, 24/7. Nick will be in social engagements and bump into a friend of his that maybe made a really cool play the year before. And let me ask you a question. What did you see and then he'll sit down and completely shut everybody else out and get engrossed in these X's and O's conversations. I've heard numerous different anecdotes about that throughout his whole entire career. He just absolutely loves the game and loves to be a part of it, loves to be breaking it down. It's like a chess master. Go ahead, Sean.
I did hear that he is I believe, now Doug could probably vet this and verify this, but I have heard that he is either currently is or is going to be extended an offer to become a full-on member at Augusta National. And we know how much he loves to golf, which he does. He loves to golf. And Augusta National is, of course.
So they must be hurting for credibility because they're trying to get some star power in there. That must.
Well, I mean, they love to have. Yeah,
they only have only poors are golfing at Augusta these days.
No, no, certainly not.
Trying to class to join up a little bit, yeah.
But he loves the golf and he loves Augusta National, so you'd see him there. But do you think there is maybe a chance that?
He's got a place in Georgia, doesn't he? Doesn't he?
I think he's got a lake house out
Lake
there.
Burton.
Yeah. But do we think maybe because he does, as you mentioned, Shannon, he loves to talk football. He does. So if he's not coaching, do we maybe see him on SEC Nation or College Game Day or something of that nature? I mean, the few times he's come on, it's been literally, enlightening to the viewer.
Do you know what I think may happen? Because again, technology is a beautiful thing these days. He may actually get, I'm sure probably ESPN would be happy to put up just a little corner of his house, make a little studio situation for him. So whenever they need him to comment on something or this, that, and the other, throw a couple $1 million.
I think it would be great. Anytime you can get Coach Saban's insight.
Make sure they give him 24 hours heads up notice, and he just popped down there in the studio with his suit on. And hey guys, how y'all doing? Have his coffee there. They can superimpose a crowd behind him. I mean,
there is one thing I think there's one thing we need to discuss before we end here, and that is the possibility, Shannon. And I know you're going to hate to fucking hear this, but what happens if Dabo really is the guy, like Sean suggested that it could be? What What happens tomorrow? What happens tomorrow or the next day if Dabo is named head coach? How are we going to spend this, Shannon? I mean, we're going to have to deal with this.
Look, I'm gonna be supportive of it. I'm gonna definitely give the guy a chance. I really won't have a choice at that point, now will I? But Dabo is returning home.
We'll be able to fuck with Dane.
Yeah, you can definitely mess with Dane.
Dane will definitely be on the podcast for that transition. I can promise you that.
I wasn't
even if I have to personally leave and go find him, which I will find him. He thinks he's sneaky. He thinks he's off in the bush. I will find his ass. I'll be right behind him in the bush.
But I will tell you this: I was not saying that he's going to be the guy.
No, I realize that, but I'm just saying that.
What I'm saying is if he wants an interview, he will get an interview simply for the fact, one, he's an Alabama native. He grew up in Pelham. Two, he's got 2 degrees. He went to school at Alabama.
Have you ever been to Pelham? Sean, have you ever been to Pelham, Alabama?
I've never been to Pelham.
I was in Pelham, Alabama today.
I don't know Pelham. I have not been there, no.
They actually have an ice hockey rink there. And sometimes the Birmingham ice hockey team will play there because it's like a full.
Alabama's hockey team actually plays there.
Yes.
Very nice. And Dabo walked on to the Alabama and earned a scholarship as a player, as a wide
I remember him as a player. I remember him.
He does love the University of Alabama. That's where his pedigree is from. So if he wants an interview, he will at least get an interview. I will say that if he wants one. That's all.
How pissed off will Clemson fans be? Will Clemson fans be like, good riddance? You hadn't been good in a few years anyways.
I was going to say they haven't been good for a couple of years. And number two, without Dabo, they're still talking about Danny Ford's 1981 championship. Yeah. So they will not be mad if Dabo decides
the one and only.
I'm just saying, if he asks for an interview, there are enough alums that will give him an interview. That's all I was saying.
My guess is that if Dabo's interested in this job, he's not going to want to come interview if he believes that the job's already belongs to somebody else, because then he causes damage to himself at Clemson and still don't get the Alabama job.
Do you think that he would even be egotistical enough to say, well, I wasn't your first choice, so don't even worry about it. I'm good here at Clemson?
I mean, he might.
Yeah.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. No,
I mean, his stock has fallen a little bit.
A little, but I mean, other than Coach Saban, I think Clemson's the only team in the last 10 years that has won double-digit games for however many seasons in a row. He's the only one. So even though they haven't gone to the playoff in a few years, it's not like they're garbage. They're not.
And he did put the only ass whooping that Saban took in a bowl game while he was at Alabama.
We don't have to talk about that tonight.
No.
This is a time of mourning. We don't need to be bringing shit up like that. No kick 6 tonight. Thank you.
No, I mean, I just think I don't think he's that egotistical.
I swear to God, I thought that's what you brought Kenny on for, was just to talk about the kick 6 shit.
No, just for entertainment purposes, and it was pretty entertaining for a minute.
Oh, God. For a minute until he left.
Until he stuck his microphone up his ass.
Yeah.
But certainly, we knowing that the timeline that college football is now, with it being a 365-day-a-year thing, the resolution on this situation is going to be fast and furious. I would expect the resolution within the next 2 or 3 weeks, for sure.
I'm with Bob on this one. I think it's time for us to go to bed and try to think about the good thoughts, think about all the many great things that Nick Saban has done for us, rub one out and hit the hay.
Well, I give one quick stat then before we get out of here.
Please do.
In the modern era of the ESPN SP Plus strength of schedule of opponents and rankings, in the modern era, 2 teams have had SPs of 90 or above in consecutive seasons. 2 teams. The 80s Miami Hurricanes from 86 to 91 had SP plus of 90 or above for 5 years in a row. Nick Saban did it for 13 years in a row.
Alabama, no, you're wrong, because Alabama doesn't play anybody.
No. I mean,
I've heard this so often on the internet, and that stat is useless to all the fans the fans of opposing fan bases on the internet, because Alabama doesn't play nobody.
Oh, that's wrong. No, I mean,
they ain't played nobody. They pay the refs. Saban was able to successfully pay the refs for what we're talking about, 17 seasons. He paid the refs, and nobody, the NCAA, the FBI, the local police, nobody caught him doing it. My question to y'all is why haven't y'all's team figured out how to cheat in the same fashion and have the same success? Y'all all fucking suck. You're all beneath us. You always will be beneath us. Doesn't matter if we win 3 games next year. You will always be beneath us. Auburn fans, it will still be another 700, 800 years before you catch up to Alabama's tradition. Nick Saban's the GOAT. R.I.P. homie.
He's dope.
Retire in peace.
Good night, guys, and appreciate everybody coming on. Sean Devine, Robert, Arthur, Shannon.
Night, gents.
I had no choice.
Pleasure. We'll talk to you soon.
Later.
Thank you for supporting Smacking Off the podcast on the X's and O's network. Be sure to keep up with our scheduled live casts and other presentations on Facebook at Smackologists or at Smacking Off, and on our YouTube channel at Smacking Off the Podcast.
Find us on the web at smackology.42web.io. There you can find our latest episode, or you can support the podcast by following our affiliate links at the top of the page. You can even buy some awesome Smacking Off merchandise. Again, that is smackology.42web.io.